Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, February 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today. You ready for this? We're going to be above freezing, just 1 degree above, but we'll take it, high 33. And then tonight and overnight, clear, low 15. And then Tuesday, sunshine, high 34. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it's 8 and clear in Montebello up in Rockland County. It's 10 and clear in Millburn over in New Jersey. And it's 11 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
There's some serious thawing today from the big chill. A grizzly find in a bag in Brooklyn. Illegal immigrants were on the run in Hoboken. Nurses on the picket line lose their health insurance. Archbishop Dolan says goodbye. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Mayor Mamdani now says a total of 14 people have died outside during this dangerously cold weather as the freezing temps continued over the weekend. These new single-room shelter units were opened for New Yorkers who were homeless and have heat. The preliminary findings found hypothermia played a role in the deaths of at least 8 people. We haven't gotten back all the information from the medical examiner's office. The mayor says a new low-barrier bed shelter site will open to make spaces more accessible to people who need a place to go.
Offering warmth, food, medical attention, and a direct path indoors. We are also opening a new low-barrier bed shelter site specifically to meet people where they are and remove obstacles to coming inside. And I will continue to remind New Yorkers, this cold is dangerous. Remain diligent.
All right, so these warming shelters will remain open to anybody who needs them across the 5 boroughs. There are also 20 warming buses that are parked across the city they can step onto and get a little nap or a little reprieve from the cold. And then what happens, of course, is when you have all this salt and snow and some of it melts, it goes down below, and then you have all kinds of problems with power. We were seeing some power issues in Brooklyn all weekend long. Borum Hill, neighboring Park Slope, leaving hundreds of customers dealing with flickering lights, partial outages, disrupted routines. Multiple residents in areas reported similar power issues, but most of it was right Borum Hill, Park Slope.
We started getting flickerings on Friday nights.
They're trying to run the oven, and all of a sudden, the fan kind of shut off.
Now, here's what Con Ed told us. They said 10 p.m. on Friday, they had about 480 customers who had no power. By yesterday, that number had climbed to more than 1,000. So Con Ed had crews out trying to make repairs, but it was all very challenging due to the snowpack that's covering all the manholes across the city. So it took a while. But again, they'll point to the fact that there was road salt mixing with melting snow, seeping into the underground and damaging electrical equipment, which you might guess will happen today as things warm up a little bit.
We just have to plan ahead, and we have a gas stove, so we can turn the stove on and cook some eggs or something.
My daughter-in-law has a lot of breast milk in the freezer. It's tough for them. Baby's first day of childcare is Monday, and they're trying to get everything all sorted, and this is just a huge stressor.
Yeah, so PS 133 on 4th Avenue, that's open as a warming shelter today. And New York City's snow removal operations continued over the weekend. They'll continue probably for the next few weeks. This is where they're grabbing snow and then melting it down in these melting stations. There's 8 of them across the city.
One of the unique things about this snowstorm was it brought frigid temps afterward, as we are today. Cold temperatures have made it very difficult for any of the snow to melt.
That is the head of the Department of Sanitation. These tubs are these orange bins. It's actually kind of cool to watch. They're right over sewers, and they truck the snow in from all over the city, and they just melt it down. It goes right into the sewer.
So DEP has treatment systems all across the city where you get any kind of stormwater runoff or any kind of discharge. They treat the water, and it goes into their system, and they treat it, and that's where it ends up.
All right, so New Yorkers, of course, just wondering, wow, where does this all go?
No, crossed my mind, though, but since you said it and whatnot, maybe it's something I should be thinking about. I don't know.
I don't know where this snow go. You see how much snow it is out here? I don't know where they go. I see some of the trucks back here picking it up, so maybe they're dumping it off somewhere else to help us out, but they better not dump it in the Hudson because that's frozen now.
Okay, yeah, they're not doing that. So what they were doing is just picking it up from different streets. They close it off, get people to move their cars, and they bring in all kinds of trucks, truck the snow to these 8 different stations where it is melted down. And then Mayor Mamdani has been in the spotlight for his fashion during the snowstorm and the deep chill over the last week. You know this, I don't know when this became in fashion to put your name and mayor on the front of your sweatshirt or jacket or whatever you're wearing. I remember Governor Chris Christie had it, wore one of those after Hurricane Sandy, but I don't know that he started it anyway. GQ's all over Mayor Mamdani now.
People have been commenting on the different jackets the mayor has been wearing during the news conferences for the recent snowstorm, and GQ wrote about it on their website. They said the mayor wore a green techie sanitation department jacket, then a custom personalized black Carhartt jacket on Sunday with the words "No problem too big, no task too small" embroidered on the inside of the collar. On Monday, he wore an emergency management jacket while he told New York City public school students that school would be held virtually. Lisa G, 77 WABC News.
And then we dodged this snowstorm over the weekend. Thank God we did. But hundreds of traffic collisions being reported in North Carolina as this intense winter storm created hazardous conditions on the East Coast. Again, it went out to sea by the time it got to us. But down in North Carolina, Virginia, they got hit.
The North Carolina Highway Patrol counted 750 collisions on Saturday, many caused by vehicles becoming immobilized in the heightened snow. Fortunately, none of the crashes was fatal. By Saturday night, state officials were still working to clear Interstate 85 north of Charlotte, where over 100 vehicles were involved in a chain reaction crash. Some parts of North Carolina were reporting near whiteout conditions. I'm Jim Forbes.
Of course, down there in North Carolina, they're not ready for this kind of thing. It doesn't happen very often there. WABC News Time 508. Let's go out to Queens. A man and a dog found dead inside a mobile vet van in Queens yesterday. The discovery made about 9:30 yesterday morning. 65th Avenue in Flushing. Cops found the body of a 57-year-old inside the van, as well as a 73-year-old unconscious just outside that van. Now, the 73-year-old was taken to the hospital in stable condition. There were people who saw this play out. At least they found this guy in the snow outside.
He was laying here for quite some time before he was noticed because he was very cold, stiff. Yeah, it's really horrible. And I called 911, and that's when he told me that the surgeon was in the vehicle dead. I said, what? Oh, my God.
Yeah, dog was also found dead inside that van. Now, neighbors say this veterinarian who owns the van and other vets who work for him do public service work for the community, helping sick and injured animals at low cost or no cost. And the van uses a generator outside, and the thought is that maybe it generated carbon monoxide. That might have the reason you found somebody outside unconscious, the gentleman inside dead along with the dog. Now, one dog also inside survived.
It was loud, it was noisy, but I also knew this, he was doing a good service for people in the neighborhood.
I'm just hoping that he's okay. This right here, it can't be. Look what happened. The surgeon died. Now his family doesn't have him. Oh, because he was out doing a good deed very late, apparently.
Yeah, police have not identified the man who died. An autopsy will help determine what went wrong. The 73-year-old survivor, who neighbors identify as Alexanian is recovering at the hospital in stable condition. WABC News Time 5:10 out to Long Island, where the Nassau County Police Department mourning the loss of one of their own.
Cops say 42-year-old Patricia Espinoza was off duty when she was killed by a drunk driver. Suffolk police say Espinoza was driving an Alfa Romeo on Route 347 West in St. James at around 6 a.m. when a pickup truck driven by 20-year-old Matthew Smith of Hauppauge ran a red light. She was taken to Stony Brook Hospital, where she died. Smith and a passenger were also taken to the hospital for injuries and will recover. Smith has been charged with DWI. Espinoza leaves behind a family, including a 2-year-old daughter. I'm Lisa Salvati.
And coming up after 5:30, we'll hear from some people who knew Espinoza well after 5:30. 5:11 down to Washington, where House Speaker Mike Johnson expressing confidence that the partial government shutdown will come to an end by Tuesday. He says he believes he has enough Republican votes to push it forward.
We're going to demonstrate once again that this is the party that takes governing seriously. The Democrats play games with this, and I think it's very unfortunate because what they're doing is they're jeopardizing services to the American people.
Now, the Senate passed a funding package on Friday that's now in the hands of the House. A deal agreed to by President Trump and Senate Democrats would fund all of the government except Homeland Security, which would operate on a 2-week stopgap bill. More from Mike Johnson.
Well, let's say I'm confident that we'll do it at least by Tuesday. We have a logistical challenge of getting everyone in town, and because of the conversation I had with Hakeem Jeffries, I know that we've got to pass a rule and probably do this mostly on our own. I think that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, so Hakeem Jeffries, he was speaking out as well on the news shows yesterday, calling for widespread reforms to the Department of Homeland Security as to the House to set the end of the government shutdown. In other words, saying he'll get in the way of this.
ICE agents should conduct themselves like every other law enforcement agency in the country, as opposed to running around mass thugs, in many instances, unleashing brutality. And we need to reiterate that the detention and deportation of American citizens off the table and using taxpayer dollars to brutalize everyday Americans or violently target law-abiding immigrant families.
Now, the big deal is getting these lawmakers back to D.C. to take that vote. 5:13, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche defending the recent release of millions of files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. During an interview on ABC's This Week yesterday, Blanche responded to criticism over the redaction errors, saying that they're working to rectify that situation.
That, of course, the nature of this type of review was so the volume of materials that were reviewed, that there would be times when this happened, and so we're working hard to make sure that we fix that, and I expect that will continue.
Now, a group of Epstein survivors slamming the release in a statement Friday, saying the survivors are having their names and identifying information exposed, while the men who abused them remain hidden and protected. More from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Every time we hear from a victim or their lawyer that they believe that their name was not properly redacted, we immediately rectify that.
And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, he is urging former Prince Andrew to testify before Congress over his connections to Jeffrey Epstein.
This comes after the U.S. Justice Department released millions of more documents related to the Epstein case on Friday. On Saturday, Starmer said anybody who has got information should be prepared to share that information in whatever form they are asked to do that. The documents contain mentions of high-profile names such as President Trump, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates. Those men have never been charged in connection with the Epstein case and have denied any wrongdoing. I'm Lisa Carton.
ICE operations across the country continue to make headlines. Immigration and Customs Enforcement giving its agents broader authority now to make arrests without warrants.
That's according to a memo reviewed by the New York Times. The Times reports ICE has expanded the ability of ICE agents to arrest people suspected of being in the country illegally. The directive cites a federal law allowing warrantless arrests if it's believed the suspect is likely to escape before a warrant can be secured. This comes during increased scrutiny of ICE following the deadly shootings of 2 U.S. citizens by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis. I'm Jim Forbes.
There were ICE agents all over Jersey City and Hoboken yesterday. We'll get into that story coming up after 5:30. 5:15 now. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start here at the Garden. OG Anunoby scored 25 points. Landry Shamet added 23, and the Knicks beat the Lakers 112-100 to spoil LeBron James's 32nd and possibly final game at Madison Square Garden. Josh Hart finished with 20 points, and Jalen Brunson had 12 points and a season-high 13 assists for the Knicks, who matched a season-high with their 6th straight win, most of them coming easily. James hasn't said if his 23rd season will be his last, but the possibility of a final MSG appearance sent ticket sales soaring, with seats far from the floor selling for more than $500 and ones near the court going for thousands of dollars. Tough ticket to get out there, obviously. Up next for the Knicks, they'll head across town to Brooklyn to tip off with the Nets come tomorrow night. Speaking of those Nets, they got walloped 130-77 by the Pistons in Detroit. The 53-point margin isn't even good for Brooklyn's worst loss of the year. They suffered a 54-point loss, 120-66 on January 21st against the Knicks. Cam Thomas and Drake Powell each had 12 points for Brooklyn. They are the Nets, that is 13-35 overall. Scoring leader Michael Porter Jr. set out because of personal reasons. Up next for them, they'll host the aforementioned Lakers tomorrow night. And just a hockey game to look forward to on the ice tonight. Quiet night locally, 7 p.m. though. The Islanders, they will drop a puck in the nation's capital against the Capitals. That is your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:18 with the Super Bowl Sunday. Concerns are rising in Santa Clara. That's where the Super Bowl is going to be. As news spreads that ICE will be in the Bay Area this weekend, South Bay Congressman Sam Liccardo warning ICE and the White House that there better not be a repeat of what's going on in Minnesota.
Never again can we see this kind of cruelty, this kind of chaos unleashed on communities throughout our country. We won't stand for it here, and we can't stand for it anywhere in the United States of America.
Now, by the way, it's not even clear that the ICE agents are going there. The Department of Homeland Security hasn't said so, but ICE agents, this is what they're being told anyway in the San Francisco area, that they're expected to arrive in the South Bay before the big game. It's unclear how many will be there. The mayor of San Jose, the sheriff of Santa Clara County, just recently reminding ICE that officers must be unmasked and cannot operate on city or county property if they show up for the Super Bowl.
It's important that that word get out to these agents, that if they commit violence and crimes in our community, they'll be arrested and prosecuted.
And while we're talking about immigration, a 5-year-old and his father detained in Minnesota last week. They're back home now.
It comes after a federal judge ordered Liam Conejo Ramos and his father, Adrian Alexandro Conejo Arias, to be released on Saturday. The two were taken into custody after arriving home from the child's preschool and were transferred to a detention facility in Texas. Democratic Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro posted on X Sunday morning that he picked up Liam and his dad and escorted them back to Minnesota. I'm Lisa Carton.
WABC News Time 520. President Trump reportedly now weighing new military options against Iran.
According to New York Times sources, President Trump is considering an option to send American forces into Iran to carry out raids. It's unclear if those raids would target government officials or even the supreme leader. But the option carries new weight after U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro earlier this month. President Trump is demanding Iran end its nuclear program and stop killing demonstrators if it wants to avoid U.S. military action. Iran's foreign minister said on Friday that Tehran will not negotiate under threat and that its defense system will never be up for negotiation. Tony Waterman, Washington.
Maria Corina Machado says she'll one day be president of Venezuela. The Venezuelan opposition leader made the comment during an appearance on CBS's Face the Nation yesterday.
I will be president when the time comes, but it doesn't matter. That should be decided in elections by the Venezuelan people.
She also spoke on giving President Trump her Nobel Peace Prize, saying the Venezuelan people truly grateful for what the president has done. Many expected Machado to be a key player in Venezuela after the ousting of Nicolas Maduro, but President Trump allowed Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, to assume control.
I wasn't allowed to run in the last election, as we mentioned before, because Maduro was afraid to running against me. And he thought Edmundo was not a threat because nobody
knew who he was.
We'll go from Venezuela to the Middle East, where a number of people are dead, others injured after Israeli strikes across Gaza over the weekend.
That's according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health. 6 children are among the reported dead. The Israel Defense Force said the strikes were launched at Hamas and Islamic Jihad targets across Gaza in response to a, quote, violation of the ceasefire agreement on Friday. It comes as the Israeli military has reportedly acknowledged roughly 70,000 Gazans have been killed during the war, not including those still missing. I'm Jim Forbes.
WABC News Time 522. Let's bring it back home down to D.C. There are new work requirements for some people who depend on SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
A tax and spending bill signed into law in July by President Trump expanded requirements for many adult SNAP recipients to work, volunteer, or participate in job training for at least 18 hours a month. Those who don't are limited to 3 months of benefits in a 3-year period. The new law applies to people ages 18 through 65 and to parents with children 14 and older. California has an exemption in place until 2027 because of high unemployment rates that let the state delay implementation. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Out to Los Angeles, where we heard from former CNN anchor Don Lemon over the weekend, says he will not stop covering the news following his release from a Los Angeles federal courthouse on charges connected to the Minnesota church protest. That's when a group of anti-ICE protesters interrupted a church service because a member of the clergy there had ICE connections. Here's Don Lemon over the weekend.
There is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable.
Now, Lemon said he was working as a reporter at the time, says the federal agents that arrested him in the middle of the night for covering the news.
The DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years. I've spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now.
Lemon and 3 others were arrested in connection with the anti-ICE protests 15 days ago at the city's church in St. Paul. Attorney General Pam Bondi called the incident a coordinated attack, while Lemon's attorney says he was covering the event as a journalist for his YouTube channel. 524, a Miami-Dade County jury, has saved the life of a death row inmate who was convicted in 2007 of murdering a 5-year-old girl by abandoning her in the Everglades to be attacked by alligators. You would think of somebody who deserved the death penalty, it might be that individual, but no, he will just be in jail for the rest of his life.
Mr. Brady, based upon the jury determination in this case, the court will be imposing a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. That means, sir, you will spend the rest of your natural life in prison.
Yeah, Harold Beatty was granted a resentencing when the Florida Supreme Court threw out a law which allowed death sentences not to be unanimous.
We, the jury, find Harold Brady should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So save you all this 30th day of January.
No, so this is now the 3rd resentencing in Miami-Dade since November that has to come back with life over death. A Miami-Dade jury returns its recommendations for resentencing of this man who was involved leaving this girl, this 5-year-old girl, in the Everglades to be attacked by alligators. NASA aiming to launch 4 astronauts now on a 10-day mission around the far side of the moon. It's going to happen sometime this month.
The flight of Artemis 2 will be NASA's first human mission to the moon since Apollo 17, 53 years ago. President Trump set a goal of returning Americans to the moon by 2028, while China plans a lunar landing by 2030. Artemis 2 is meant to be the foundation for future Artemis missions that will place Americans back on the moon and establish a lunar space station. The mission is to test whether the rocket, life support systems, and crew controls work as designed. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WABC News Time 526. President Trump says the Kennedy Center Performing Arts, I should say his Kennedy Center Performing Arts, will close in July for about 2 years to undergo renovations.
The president took to Truth Social to make the announcement, saying it would close July 4th, with the closure producing a much faster and higher quality results. He added the move is pending approval by the center's board, who were all picked by the president. His One Big Beautiful bill included over $250 million for necessary expenses for capital repair, restoration, maintenance backlog, and security structures. I'm Rob Martier.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, February 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today. We're going to get above freezing for the first time in weeks. The high 33. And then tonight and overnight clear, low 15. Tuesday sunny, high 34. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. It is 8 and clear in Montebello up in Rockland County. It's 10 and clear in Millburn over in New Jersey. And it's 11 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540. Yesterday marked the end of an era for the Catholic Church here in the city as Timothy Cardinal Dolan presided over his last Mass as Archbishop after nearly 17 years in the post.
Praise be Jesus Christ. We're here for him. We're here for him, not for me. But hear me say I sure love you and thank you all very much. God bless.
That was Cardinal Dolan at St. Patrick's Cathedral, which was packed yesterday. Parishioners saying they'll miss his larger-than-life personality.
It's such a blessing to have had the Cardinal.
Just a nice guy, you know, a lot of good humor. He was a New York kind of guy.
Dolan had served as Archbishop of New York since 2009, was appointed by Pope Benedict. That was back in 2012. And last year, he submitted his resignation letter, as is required of a cardinal when they turn 75 years old. It was accepted by Pope Leo, who later appointed Archbishop designate Ronald Hicks, who's from Joliet, Illinois. Here was more from Dolan yesterday.
I'm thinking, now what? But I feel a great sense of freedom and excitement and passion and a gratitude.
Dolan was invited to preside over masses all over New York City. He says he's not going to say goodbye to New York. He's staying in New York. He's going to get an apartment here in the city. Someone told me exactly where he's living. It's in one of the church parishes, and it slipped my mind. But he's received invitations to preside over masses at parishes across the Archdiocese of New York, even after he steps down as Archbishop.
I'm thinking of when, like, a dad or a grandpa retires from his job. Okay? Well, he never retires from being a dad or a grandpa, and this kid doesn't retire from being a spiritual father, and I look forward to it.
Archbishop Ronald Hicks, who's from Joliet, Illinois, he's set to officially be installed as the Archbishop at an installment mass that'll take place this Friday. 542. Health insurance coverage cut off yesterday for thousands of Montefiore nurses as the largest nurses strike in New York City enters its fourth week now. As the strike continues, workers from Montefiore Hospital will now have to pay more than $1,000 a month for health insurance. Here were some of them on the picket line yesterday.
Trying to apply for COBRA, and it's so expensive, or to get a marketplace plan. We need safe staffing. People are packed together. It's not dignified. We need better care for patients.
Picketers braved the cold yesterday at Montefiore Einstein campus up in Morris Park more than a week ago. Montefiore warned nurses that if they did not return to work by February 1st, they would forfeit their health insurance coverage. So yesterday marked that deadline, and that's why the nurses lost the coverage.
I'm so hopeful. Hopefully this week we'll be back to work.
Now, that's on top of not getting a paycheck. They'll have to pay their own health insurance. The strike began 22 days ago after the New York State Nurses Association called on hospitals to address safe staffing levels, improve health benefits, and take steps to prevent workplace violence, along with a rise in salaries. WABC, I should point out, those nurses are expected to return to the bargaining table with the 3 hospitals they're striking against this morning. WABC News Time, 5:44. Let's go out to Brooklyn. A woman's body found inside a bag in Brooklyn yesterday. A janitor making the grisly discovery. This was about 9:30 in the basement of a building at the Barrequin Public Houses. That's on Bushwick Avenue in Williamsburg. NYCHA workers were in the lower level of this building where they found these heavy bags that were closed. And when one of them opened the bag, they found a head staring back at them.
The workers, they found it and her screaming. They realized the bags are too heavy, so they opened it up. And the first thing they're seeing is the head staring at them. So this She ain't going to be the same anymore, these people who work in these buildings.
Yeah, I bet they won't. Police were called to the building. Investigators believe the victim was a woman in her 50s or 60s. They were not able to identify her. She was removed from the location.
I'm like scared out of my mind. I don't know what's going to go, like if it's going to continue happening or like it's like a one-time incident.
Yeah, detectives were going door to door yesterday trying to get any information on who this person might be. 5:45. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Start here at the Garden. OG Anunoby scored 25. Landry Shamet added 23. And the Knicks beat the Lakers 112-100 to spoil LeBron James' 32nd and possibly final game at Madison Square Garden. Josh Hart finished with 20 points, and Jalen Brunson had 12 and a season-high 13 for the Knicks, who matched a season-high with their 6th straight win, most of them coming easily. James hasn't said if his 23rd season will be his last, but the possibility of a final MSG appearance sent ticket sales soaring, with seats far from the floor, selling for more than 500 and ones near the court, going for thousands of dollars. Up next for the Knicks, they'll head across town to Brooklyn to tip off with the Nets come tomorrow night. Speaking of those Nets, they got walloped 130-77 by the Pistons in Detroit. The 53-point margin isn't even good for Brooklyn's worst loss of the year. They suffered a 54-point loss, 120-66 on January 21st against the Knicks. Cam Thomas and Drake Powell each had 12 points for Brooklyn. The Nets are 13-35 overall. Scoring leader Michael Porter Jr. sat out because of personal reasons. Up next for the Nets, they'll host the aforementioned Lakers tomorrow night. And head to the ice to look ahead to tonight, the 7 p.m. puck drop tonight for the Islanders out in D.C. against the Capitals. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:48. Just a really tragic story coming out of Nassau County over the weekend. An off-duty officer was killed by a suspected drunk driver on Saturday. Officer Patricia Espinoza, a married mother of a 2-year-old girl. She's married to a fellow police officer. She was killed Saturday morning in what was described as a really violent crash. And if you see what's left of her car, it's just unbelievable. It happened on Route 347 in St. James. This was about 6 in the morning on Saturday. The 42-year-old was behind the wheel of her car, and it was hit by a Chevy Silverado. Police say that driver was drunk behind the wheel and blew a red light. And neighbors who were hearing about this, the death of Officer Patricia Espinoza, just beside themselves.
That's what they do. They serve our community. So my prayers go out to her, her family, and, the precinct. That's such a loss for us.
Devastated. We lost a mom, we lost a relative, lost a good person.
Yeah, being just, amazing that people are still driving drunk. I know that sounds a little naive on my part, but why this dope's behind the wheel? Now a murderer. Suffolk County Police arrested 20-year-old Matthew Smith of Hauppauge, charged him with DWI. Both he and his 25-year-old passenger survived, taken to Stony Brook Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. That's exactly the same place where Officer Espinoza was pronounced dead, the very same hospital.
Everybody drives crazy over here. That's just kind of expected, especially down 347. Sometimes in the morning on my way to work, people will be going 80. That is so sad. Really, that is so sad. That my thoughts go out to her and her family.
Well, of course, there's no reason this woman should be dead except for a drunk driver. So Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman releasing a statement over the weekend saying just that they're heartbroken over the passing of Officer Patricia Espinoza, who was a beloved member of the 5th Precinct. He also ordered that all flags half-staff beginning today until her burial, and we just got information on that. It'll be a visitation on Wednesday at St. James Funeral Home, and the visitation will be on Wednesday. Her funeral will be on Thursday at St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Church. 5:50. An investigation underway into the death of a 57-year-old man and a small dog inside a mobile veterinary van in Queens yesterday.
Police suspect the man may have been overwhelmed by fumes from a generator as he treated the dog. The Daily News reports police and EMTs called to the scene also found a man identified as 73-year-old Garo Alexinian unconscious outside the van. He was apparently knocked out by a fall and was hospitalized in stable condition. A co-worker doctor at Alexinian's home said the dead man was a veterinarian who was performing emergency surgery on the dog. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
WABC News Time 5:51. The NYP really needs your help tracking down a man they say raped a 14-year-old girl in Stuytown on Manhattan's East Side.
Police say it happened inside a building near First Avenue and First Avenue Loop. Cops say 33-year-old Jermaine Parham raped the girl, then took her cell phone and fled. She was treated at a hospital. Police say Parham has 32 prior arrests since 2008. They've released his mugshot along with MTA images, which show he was last seen wearing a black and gray knitted hat, a gray face covering, a white coat, and camouflage pants. I'm Lisa Salvati.
Let's head over to New Jersey, where tensions are running high in Hudson County after reports of ICE agents arresting several people in Hoboken and Jersey City yesterday morning. Nearly 200 people packing an emergency meeting last night in Hoboken to learn more about their rights after the cell phone video shows an ICE agent in an unmarked car making an arrest at the light rail station in Hoboken, right near the Jersey City border. This is a block from my house, actually.
Our community is a community of immigrants, and it's just scary to have them here.
These stories are deeply troubling. It makes you feel unsafe in your own community, and it makes you worry for your neighbors.
Now, the video that I saw, and I'm assuming it's legit, but you never know because of AI, but it looks like this individual is a food delivery guy, and he stopped by an ICE agent who arrests them. Now, the woman who was filming this was saying awful things to him, and then he gets away for a moment, this food delivery guy, but they catch him, and then they put him in the back of this unmarked van. Now, there was all these emergency meetings of people who say that the legal rights of these people are not being upheld. When we tried to figure out what crime or what happened, why they took this person into custody, we reached out to Homeland Security, but we did not hear anything back by the time we went on the air at 5.
We know that these agents use unmarked, unregistered vehicles in order to avoid identification. If a police officer sees an unmarked, unregistered, unlicensed car, they need to pull that driver over immediately and impound the vehicle.
Now, last week, Jersey City's new mayor, James Solomon, signed an executive order that protects the city's immigrants. He is echoing calls for change after this meeting. There was meetings all over in Jersey City and Hoboken last week.
The videos are disturbing, and they show what appears to just be people on their way to work being detained. That makes us less safe.
Yeah, but we don't know if that's the case. The Department of Homeland Security did not get back to us, and I imagine they will, about why they detained this individual that was seen in this video that went viral. But a lot of the people in Jersey City, Hoboken, upset about it.
People don't want their neighbors kidnapped. It's gonna right now. It's coming for migrants. It's gonna come for all of us. It doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're Latino.
Now, so up in Rockland County, you had Congressman Mike Lawler taking the stage at Rockland Community College last night for his first town hall of 2026, and he discussed a wide range of topics, but a lot of what he talked about was this: the ICE agents and immigrant or illegal immigrants' rights. There were people who tried to shout him down during his town hall meeting, and here's what he had to say about people who are here illegally.
It is to actually reform our immigration system. It has been broken for 40 years. I fundamentally believe that if you have been in this country 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and you have not committed a crime, and you are participating in the workforce, and your children or your grandchildren may be American citizens, we should create a legal pathway forward.
And that's where he stands, the congressman from Rockland County. 5:55, Giants co-owner Steve Tisch defending himself after appearing in the latest batch of Epstein files.
On Friday, the DOJ released 3 million more files connected to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, including email exchanges between Epstein and Giants chairman of the board Steve Tisch. In the emails, the pair discussed several different women, and Epstein said he had a gift for Tisch. In a statement through a team spokesman, Tisch says they only discussed adult women, and he never took him up on any offers to visit his private island. He went on to call Epstein a terrible person who he deeply regrets associating with. No criminal charges have been filed against Tisch. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
One of my kids who's a senior in high school, just this weekend actually, he said, hey, I need some cash because we're going to do an Airbnb at the Jersey Shore as part of Senior Week. Well, the borough that's known for being home to the reality show Jersey Shore now trying to stop the party for high schoolers wanting to spend prom weekends there, which is what I think my kid wants to do.
It's almost been a rite of passage for high schoolers to rent a hotel or motel room in Seaside Heights on prom weekend, but the Shore Town has been trying to reshape its young party spot reputation, so banned 18 to 20-year-olds from renting rooms during prom season. However, a couple motel owners sued, and on Tuesday, the lawyers argue the ban amounts to age discrimination, and they want to keep that money flowing in from being booked up. But the borough's lawyers argue the young wild crowds flowing in with that money need to be controlled since, for instance, there were 73 arrests over the last Memorial Day weekend, including 21 juveniles. I'm Levon Putney.
It is a rite of passage. I did it when I was 18 years old, right down to the Jersey Shore after a prom night. So I don't know if they're going to be able to stop them. 5:57, traffic, transit on the 7. I bet you, Joe Nolan, probably spent your prom night at the Jersey Shore as well, right? Oh, Joseph. All right. No Joseph. All right, where's my good friend Justin Ellick? Or I could do another story till he gets here. You want me to keep going? All right, I'll keep going. This weekend marked the end of an era for a retail hub in Queens.
The Coliseum Mall in Jamaica has officially closed their doors for good. The mall was once a popular after-school hangout spot. However, longtime manager Thomas Logan told CBS News the mall has been struggling since the pandemic.
Since we reopened from the COVID, every month has been in the red. But I'm sick about this. I'm saddened about it. The Coliseum is royalty.
Foot traffic dwindled even more following the removal of a bus terminal across the street. The mall property is now on the market. Some lawmakers are pushing for housing to take its place. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Listen to this podcast now
On the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.